Welcome to The Explainer. We are jumping right into an absolute masterclass on narrative tension today. We're breaking down that unbelievable office confrontation from Episode 4, The Principal's Secret. I mean, it's wild how the writers take a totally ordinary middle school setting and just twist it into a high-stakes thriller, using nothing but clever pacing, some killer dialogue, and a deeply unsettling shift in power dynamics. Seriously, if you want to know how to build suspense from scratch, this scene is your textbook.
We get hit immediately with a massive hook, right? Principal Vance, the man who gave Ethan detention yesterday for doodling in his notebook, was actually a high-ranking operative for a shadow syndicate. Boom! It perfectly sets up the dramatic irony and cranks the stakes to 11. As viewers, we get this narrator bombshell dropped on us before Ethan even sets foot in the building. We suddenly know something he seemingly doesn't. And what's so brilliant here is how efficiently this one single line rewrites our entire understanding of the past. That detention? Yeah, not just a strict teacher disciplining a student. It was a targeted maneuver by a highly dangerous enemy.
Just think about the stark contrast we're dealing with. On one hand, you've got the ultimate symbol of trivial schoolyard authority giving a kid detention for doodling. But on the other hand, this guy is a ruthless, high-ranking shadow syndicate operative who is identified on a satellite feed. The tension doesn't come from, a giant explosion or a crazy car chase. It comes from the sheer, terrifying absurdity of these two totally different worlds colliding in the body of one guy sitting behind a principal's desk.
So, moving into our first section, the shadow syndicate operative. Let's look at exactly how this dual identity operates within the story.
If we track the timeline, the rapid escalation of events is just nuts. Look at how fast Ethan's world shifts from standard school discipline to a literal shadow war. Yesterday starts deceptively normal with the doodling detention. Then things ramp up in the afternoon with whatever stressful situation went down at Ethan's family headquarters. But look at how compressed the timeline gets by this morning. He hits the gates of Oakwood Academy, and moments later, he's face-to-face with a syndicate operative. The writers give absolutely zero room to breathe. We are propelled straight into the fire. Which brings us to the next section, securing the school perimeter. Let's see how Ethan handles approaching this terrifying new reality. He basically uses his everyday surroundings as camouflage. He walks through those front gates totally unfazed. You've got students whispering all around him, and he's just clinging to his signature blue notebook, really grounding himself in the reality of just being a normal student. But then, we catch the detail of the earpiece. He's secretly communicating with Marcus. It is such a fantastic visual representation of his double life. He looks like a typical kid, but he's operating like a seasoned tactical agent. And that whispered line to Marcus, "Keep the perimeter secure, I'm going to class." That is the crucial point that totally shatters the illusion of a normal morning and shifts the genre entirely into a thriller. It's almost comedic in its deadpan delivery, right? But it tells us exactly where Ethan's head is at. He knows he's walking into a highly hostile environment. He isn't just a kid heading to first period. He is a literal commander deploying his assets before walking straight into enemy territory.
All right, moving on to Section 3, the Viper Syndicate Watch. Let's dig into the climax of this intense dialogue duel inside the principal's office. So Vance hits him with, "Ha ha ha, Ethan, sit down. I hear you had a very stressful afternoon yesterday at your family's headquarters. On the surface, completely mundane. But the tactical reality underneath is a vicious power struggle." Vance uses this warm, friendly smile that totally contradicts the ruthless satellite image we heard about. He casually mentions the stressful afternoon at HQ. Classic interrogation technique. He's fishing. He is basically telling Ethan, "Hey, I have eyes on you outside of this school." And Ethan's response? Flawless. Not really. Just standard paperwork. He gives Vance absolutely nothing. He stonewalls the guy, keeping that unfazed exterior and totally refusing to take the bait.
But then, Ethan flips the script. "By the way, sir, nice watch. It's a rare military issue, only given to commanders in the Viper Syndicate." Boom! He suddenly goes on the offensive, flipping the power dynamic by calling out this incredibly specific, incredibly damning detail. This is what the whole scene was building toward. Ethan didn't walk in blindly, he walked in with a dagger drawn. By complimenting the watch and explicitly naming the Viper Syndicate, he completely strips away Vance's cover. It's an unbelievable power move. He looks the principal dead in the eye and essentially says, "I know exactly who you are, and I am not afraid of you."
That brings us to our final section, Anatomy of a Cliffhanger. Let's look at the resolution and how to perfectly hook an audience. This whole sequence relies heavily on dramatic irony, that narrative technique where the audience knows a crucial secret that the characters supposedly don't. We spent the whole scene waiting with bated breath for Principal Vance to drop his friendly educator disguise. The narrator gave us the secret at the start, and we were just waiting for Ethan to figure it out, only to realize Ethan already knew. The writers brilliantly weaponized the irony against us. Once Ethan reveals his cards with the watch comment, the tension just snaps. The charade is completely over, and that brings an immediate, terrifying reaction.
Notice the step-by-step physical escalation that happens next. Step 1, Principal Vance's warm smile vanishes completely. The mask is fully off. Step 2, he slowly reaches underneath his desk. It's a classic cinematic trope that tells your brain a weapon or a trap is being engaged. And step 3, the door locks behind Ethan with a heavy magnetic click. The pacing slows down to a crawl here. The visual of the vanishing smile paired with the auditory cue of that click creates this ultimate feeling of claustrophobia. In 3 quick, sensory beats, the principal's office has transformed from a place of school discipline into a literal prison cell. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. The writers perfectly manipulated the setting, the dialogue, and the pacing to ensure that when that heavy magnetic click echoes, you are absolutely desperate to know what happens next. They took a blue notebook, a friendly smile, and a wristwatch, and engineered a trap that leaves us completely hanging on the edge of our seats. Trapped in a locked room with a ruthless Viper Syndicate commander, stripped of his normal escape routes, how on earth is Ethan going to survive Episode 5? Keep these narrative techniques in your back pocket the next time you find yourself totally hooked by a thriller. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and we will catch you next time.